So the sun is out, and that's not a coincidence because we are with Sunny Sumter, the executive director for the DC Jazz Festival, one of the most important jazz festivals all around the US, and I will say all around the world. So this year we have a great lineup. Just to mention some artists that are going to be performing during the festival is Robert Glasper, Kenny Garrett. How challenging was to put together this lineup for this year?
The Jazz Festival, I think this is our best year, 2017. We have a really extraordinary artistic director, Willard Jenkins, who's an award-winning jazz journalist and a curator that does work in New York, the Tri-C Jazz Festival in Ohio, and he's been doing our fest for a couple of years now. Between that and our great partnerships, we've put together a lineup that's so diverse. And that was the idea. We wanted to be able to celebrate the international language of jazz. So some of the artists that you mentioned are from places outside of the United States. And then we really wanted to really celebrate, just the really global aspect of what jazz is. So, Robert Glasper's coming to the Yards, but we also have a wonderful London, we call him the human beatbox, Jacob Collier, that's coming to the Yards as well. Pat Metheny is going to grace us with his amazing musicality at the Kennedy Center, which is our big showcase event that we do there. We're particularly excited about that. And you're right, Edmar and Hiromi coming together is unique. They've started a tour together, so I'm excited to see that for the first time as well.
What does make this festival so unique and different from many other jazz festivals all around the country?
Well, yes, I have the great privilege of being involved with the festival since 2008. We actually were conceived by our founder, Charlie Fishman, who was manager of Dizzy Gillespie for many years. So the festival actually started in 2004. And what makes us unique is that we are really citywide. We are in 22 neighborhoods, over 40 venues. We call it a jazz takeover in DC. And I think that's what makes us unique, is that people can come. DC residents can experience their great city by going to jazz for 2 weeks in various neighborhoods throughout the 4 quadrants of the city. People that live in Maryland, Virginia can come into DC and experience a part of DC that they've never gone to before. And then we have people that come from as far as Oakland. We have a big Oakland contingency that comes from Chicago, from Richmond, New York, Philly. And they come because they want to experience DC and get their jazz on at the same time. So they want to go to the museums, because we have a lot of jazz there, National Gallery of Art, Smithsonian. They get to have their museum experience and hear jazz. So that's what makes it really unique. There's no other partnership like it in the world. And where can you go when you have embassies in one city? We have embassies represented from all the most countries around the globe have an embassy here, and we are fortunate enough to have 6 partnerships with 6 embassies during Jazz Fest: Italy, Korea, Japan. We have Spain, and a couple of more. So it's really quite unique in that way.
Have gone through the rebranding of the name, in 2010. And you have seen so many things from your first year planning the festival up to now. What would you say are the achievements you feel most proud of?
Yeah, it's such a good question. Thank you for asking it. The festival was named in honor of our father of jazz, DC father of jazz, Duke Ellington. And we felt very privileged that we had an opportunity to really speak about his contribution to the jazz landscape every year. So that was wonderful. But as we moved on, we realized that we really are a DC festival. We really are a celebrated entity here in the nation's capital. And we know that most major jazz festivals are named after its city. Around the world. So we thought, why not say DC Jazz Festival? And at the time, there was a lot of rebranding going on with DC. So Destination DC, which is the tourism arm of DC, changed its name to Destination DC. And then the Washington Sports and Entertainment Authority became Events DC. So it became really the right time for us to do it, and we've seen a trajectory since then. And now we're DC Jazz Fest. So we can go around and say, you're coming to DC Jazz Fest, as opposed to you're coming to the Duke Ellington Jazz Festival.
Right.
So we really are branding the city, and because it really is a city DC celebration of jazz. Yeah. Some of the really rewards of that is that we've been able to really dig deep and partner with, let's say, east of the river, which is in Ward 7 and 8, and really get people to really visit those communities and celebrate jazz there. We're also able to have a great partnership with the University of the District of Columbia, which is going through their own branding, wonderful rebranding. And we're doing a couple of really exciting things with them, including our national band competition will be at the University of the District of Columbia now. And it'll be a wonderful opportunity to really lift that university up, which is becoming quite a prestigious institution.
In addition to the wonderful concerts that the festival brings to the town, you also, or the festival also offer educational programs to the underserved communities in Washington, D.C. Throughout the entire year. It's not, of course, during the festival time only. So when you start putting together such an ambitious program, I'm sure you would agree that the role of partnerships and sponsorships are essential in order to make that happen. And we all know that getting sponsors and partners is not an easy task. So do you mind sharing with us some tips on how to approach new sponsors and partners?
Absolutely. Well, first, I must say that the Jazz Festival programming, which is the June Fest in June, the Embassy Series that runs year-round, and the education program that you just spoke about that's also year-round, it is a team effort. So it really is because of our artistic director, Willard Jenkins, and really his stamp on a number of the activities, as well as other venue partners that curate their own work in consultation with Willard, that really brings about a real diversity of the music. And we believe that, first of all, jazz, you're not hearing it on the radio. Yeah. There are no more record stores, so there used to be a time you could go in and at least get some ideas about jazz from very knowledgeable people in record stores. So basically, you really are going online, you're streaming, and so we really provide an opportunity for young audiences to get to know jazz, and Willard likes to say it's to demystify. We like to have jazz labs. Because jazz sometimes can be, I think, a little intimidating depending on the music. Yeah. And so, it really is about understanding it. So we love to have Meet the Artists, so that people that are not familiar with certain artists can have a conversation with them, and it will help to grow their own appreciation for the music. But they also I think most people walk away with that it's music overall. I mean, maybe we shouldn't define it as jazz so much, because it is really just music. Because sometimes it's jazz hip hop, sometimes it's it's orchestral jazz, it's rock jazz, which is some of the beautiful music that Pat Metheny is doing and will be doing at the Kennedy Center in June. So it really is. I try to explain to our partners and our stakeholders and our sponsors that this is a community investment. America's musical heritage is jazz. It was born right here in the United States in New Orleans. It is really America's music, in addition to now being this global jazz language. And when you come to sponsors saying that, then you have a platform to then talk about what their strategies are. So there might be new companies coming into DC that want to reach a certain demographic. And we are, jazz is for everybody. So our demographic is exceptional. Yeah. 42% of our demo is between the ages of 18 and 40. That's unheard of for jazz in other parts of the country. And the reason why is because there's a lot of transient millennials that are coming to DC and they're getting their jazz on. So we're reaching that demo, and then we're also reaching children because we're giving them fun experiences with jazz. We're doing a master class in Adams Morgan on Wednesday with 4 exceptional jazz artists: Cyrus Chestnut on piano, Nasser Abadeh on drums, Pete Muldoon on guitar. Herman Burney on bass. These gentlemen are exceptional players, and they're going to dig deep and teach middle school kids.
Oh.
And they're going to teach them where they are. And they're going to teach them on their instruments and help them to see that they can find their own voice, through their instrument. And that's how we really do it. And we are really fortunate that our stakeholders, our sponsors, our partners, that they get it. We know, for instance, we have a great partnership with Coca-Cola. And it's because, Coca-Cola is, it's right next to jazz, and so they come on board and do a really great party for us at the yards, and we do a big VIP party, and they make sure that their brand is everywhere so that people can see that they're celebrating jazz too. DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities gives extraordinary amount of money to arts organizations like DC Jazz Festival to really make sure that we are shining the spotlight on DC artists. So we make sure that we are featuring prominently DC artists throughout the festival, throughout all 9 days. The National Endowment for the Arts is a federal arts organization, gives us money to support the festival every year. We have great partnerships with IT companies who want to make sure that people are using their products, their services. So I think we really just speak to people where they are, and there's something for everybody. I always say that. Jazz is so unique, is that there is something for everyone.
How do you keep sponsors engaged and interested in supporting your event year after year?
It really is about what's the ROI? What is the return on investment? We try and start with a multi-year partnership so that we can grow together. Because oftentimes when someone comes on for 1 year, you're getting to know each other. It's like dating. So you're getting to know one another. You're figuring out how to dance together. And then once you do, okay, well, we can choreograph some moves. Let's do it. And then before you know it, by year 3, you're in step. You're in sync. And I really believe that we've maintained the level of partners, the level of sponsorships over the years is because we look at each partnership very individually and carefully, and we assess it year after year. We give them a snapshot of the festival every year, and then we sit down and we talk about, after the festival, what worked, what didn't, and we come together with an even better partnership for the next year. And that's also with our venue partners as well. Partnerships that are in kind. The festival is really fortunate in that we are able to get a substantial amount of dollars through in kind. We have a wonderful partnership with Sage Communications, which does all of our fabulous marketing and design. And they are the same organization that works very closely with Cherry Blossoms, the Cherry Blossom Festival. So it is really through that very generous partnership that year after year, Sage has been on board for at least 10 years, that we're able to really grow this festival. We have attorneys that we have a multi-year partnership. They do all of our legal services for us pro bono. For Cine Enterprises, which is where we're sitting right now on their development here at the Yards, is generously supporting us, through in kind. The Capitol Riverfront Bid, the business improvement district here at the Capitol Riverfront, very generous in how they support the festival and the arts overall. So I really do think that it really is through multi-year partnerships that we're able to really thrive.
Most festivals have a core team of volunteers and who contribute to the success of the festival or any type of event. However, I imagine that organizing the volunteers can be a lot of work. Have you developed a system to manage all the volunteers so that they work well together and want to come back year after year?
That's such a good question. We've had a volunteer program for about 10 years, and it now runs well. But we had to learn to get to where we are today. We have a woman who's our volunteer coordinator who is stellar, poised, very organized, because you need that skill set to be able to, never let them see you sweat, to be able to always remain poised when you're talking to volunteers, because our volunteers are all over the city. And we have an orientation where we bring them all together to talk about the Jazz Fest in general, talk about what our policies and rules are, and then they sign up right there, which I think is a good thing. we get to know them, they get to know us, and then they go off and do a really fine job. And then we have returning volunteers that come back every year, so we get a chance to get to know them. And I personally like to go up to volunteers, ask them how they're doing, ask their names, ask them why they've decided to volunteer, and always to thank them for doing it. But I think we have over 100 volunteers that we use. Volunteer@dcjazzfest.org is the email address for anyone that wants to volunteer. Volunteer@dcjazzfest.org.
Can you share with us maybe an anecdote where you found yourself in the middle of a very challenging or unexpected situation, and how did you overcome it?
Well, it is similar to being on the stage. The show must go on. We're really blessed. We have several of our team members, our staff members, that are actually musicians and artists. Our Mark O'Reilly is a beautiful singer. Mickey Carlton, beautiful, beautiful singer. Akmarie is a wonderful classical pianist. And I could go on and on. But really, I think they are so graceful and they are so poised, because they have really learned that skill through their art. So I have learned that when I'm working with my staff, they work well under pressure. They go out. We have a very rigorous all day, 10 days. It's a very long festival. It's not a 3-day festival.
Let's say, at what time do you start?
We start now.
Yeah.
But we start early in the morning on June 9th, and we're not getting any sleep until it's over with on the 8th. We're getting 1 day of sleep, and then we're back working on, the wrap-ups, the evaluations, the economic impact study. So the festival in and of itself is a continuum, even after the performers have gone. But I think, it really is, you have to love it. And for me personally, I'll never forget when our founder, Charlie, had asked me to come on board. I was working at another organization that I love. Give praises to the Aspen Institute. I love you. I do. And he asked me to come on board at the time to just do partnerships. And it was a small organization, growing, a lot of growing pains. And, I can see the fruits of the labor year by year, and how we've really polished this diamond, and we're still polishing it. And I really do believe that with anything in life, it really is that stick-to-itiveness and learning every year and really going through it and fine-tuning it, that you get a product that I think is exceptional, which is where I think we are now.
I'm sure there are local musicians that are going to be watching this video and maybe wondering, what can I do to perform on the Yards stage next year? Do I need to get more likes on my Facebook page, more views on my YouTube? Tell me what to do. So what is I'm not sure if you want to share your process for selecting bands to perform on the Yards stage, or if you can give any tips on how musicians can make your top 10 list.
So I'm going to speak through the voice of Willard Jenkins, who's our artistic director. And Willard has always said that, one, he needs to hear the music, the art. So he loves being invited to shows. We like to go see them. Also, to send an MP3 in the mail, because we live in a very electronic society right now where people are just sending him MP3s, electronic press kits. Willard likes to see it. He likes to feel it. So he likes that to arrive in the mail to him. So we ask that people go to bookings at dcjazzfest.org and send an email and say, I'm going to be sending this out, and we'll send an address, and that will get in. The other thing is, we do spend a lot of our annual program dollars on DC artists. We have 300 musicians that perform on the stage every year. And we like to do, a good percentage of that we dedicate to DC artists, because we do believe that some of the very finest musicians from around the world reside here. And so, what's really important is Willard likes to curate special things. This year we're doing Basically Yours, which is a bass series at the Kennedy Center. And
bass, like the instrument?
Bass, so it's called Basically Yours.
Oh my God, that's a wonderful name.
It is. That's Willard. And he's featuring some really fine, diverse bassists on the stage. You know, some from very legendary bassists. We have a Victor Dvorskin, who's from Russia, who's been living here for a couple of decades. He's bringing his trio. Tommy Sosa, who is a mainstay, legendary, has played with some of the very best DC and international artists. Tommy Sosa. James King is another one. Chris Funn, who is much more of a contemporary, very young bassist that plays, you know, a little bit of everything in his music. He's much more of a pop, and he probably wouldn't like that I said that. So maybe, you know, I would just say very contemporary, funk, groovy.
Wonderful.
Right, wonderful bass player. And so he really has put together quite a diverse group of bass players for that series. And then we have other, we have a National Gallery of Art sculpture garden where we get, you know, over 10,000 people at that. If you ever, you know, it's like a sangria party.
Yeah.
So we are their largest crowd every year during Jazz Fest. So we always feature a local artist there, a regional, and this year we're happen to be featuring the Michael Thomas Quintet, and Michael's group is exceptional. You know, he really believes in the ensemble concept. So whenever you hear him, you hear his sound. It's really the attribution there is because of the entire quintet's contribution to the music. So that's one I always love to go hear him. And then we have a number of great jazz artists, like Lori Williams is coming to the big stage.
She's opening, right?
Yeah, she is. And Lori is,
she is
I
absolutely.
love me some Lori.
I'm a fan on Facebook, so.
Love you too, Lori. But that's it. I mean, I think, you know, you musicians, you know that we've got it going on in this town. And so we do want to shine the spotlight on you, and so I think those are a couple of the ways that we do it currently, and I gave the information, you know, the email address to reach out.
What is your 5-year vision for the festival, or even 3-year vision? You know, 2020 sounds like, for me, like, okay, this is like very important year, so.
Well, we are very fortunate as a 501c3 nonprofit service organization to have the very best board of directors on the planet serving
I was looking
us.
at some of the names.
They are
today.
so incredibly caring and smart, strategic in their thinking. They just are witty, funny, and, you know, love arts and culture. We passed a 3-year strategic plan. Which has some amazing goals that is really, it's board-led, that really our team, which includes our staff, our board, and our stakeholders are actively pursuing right now. We really want to have a sustainability alongside artistic excellence. You know, our product is excellent, but we know that we really need to sustain this over time, and we are a huge product, a huge entity, and we really want to find you know, economic, sustainable practices that will really keep us solid over the years. So that's what we're working on. Yes. The other thing is that we really want multi-year stakeholders. We want the city. We want, you know, the agencies, the DC agencies, to wrap their arms around us even more. We want to be performing at the airport, at the train station, in the street. We want banners to be up that says
throughout the
DC.
year, or
no, during the
just,
festival. Okay. We want everybody to know that there is a presence in DC when the second week in June happens. For those 2 weeks, we want everybody to see that it's a jazz celebration. How do you do that? You put flags up on the streets. You know, you have you know, ads, big ads that are up. You have, you know, musicians at the train stations, at the subway stations, at the airport, at Amtrak. I think that's when we know that we are a truly citywide celebrated festival of this great music. So that's one thing that we do want to do, and we want to do it well. And the other thing is that we really want to be the very best jazz presenter on the East Coast. We've got some great compositions, some of my dearest friends, Jazz at Lincoln Center, Newport, even here locally, you know, with the great work that the Smithsonian is at the Kennedy Center, and their amazing jazz program. Strathmore has a wonderful jazz piece of their programming that's pretty exceptional, and I could go on and on. But I think we really are poised because of our particular, unique, diverse product, that we are poised to be the best jazz presenter.
How do venues qualify to be partners with the DC Jazz Fest? How can they be part of this event?
Well, that really speaks to the vision too. You know, we most of the venue partners have been partnering year after year, and so we go to restaurants, hotels, galleries, community center, places of worship, and we reach out to everybody. And at this time, through our Jazz in the Hoods program, you can just sign up and you're in.
Oh, okay.
You curate your own for the most part. We curate about 30 to 40 of our 125, 130 performances. We curate about 40 of them. And the rest, the individual venue does it, and we market the performance under the umbrella of the Jazz Festival.
But they don't have to pay to be part of it?
No, which is very
rare.
unusual.
Exactly. So that was my question.
Right.
So,
It's very unusual. In fact, we get that all the time. We get people that say, why aren't you charging for this?
What do you want? Right?
And we say, because we want this to be a true, diverse participation. And sometimes when you start to put those things in place, you create barriers. And this is really about an overarching celebration of this great music for any and everybody.